Did you guys have a relationship?
Your Honor, we started becoming intimate, and it became pretty heated.
It was sex. We had no relationship. She got upset for some reason, so I walked out.
Why are we in court?
We were to be married, but due to all of this back and forth between Kenneth and I, we decided to call it off.
That's not true.
Plaintiff Kenneth Simon says he wanted a roommate, but the defendant wanted a relationship. He's suing her for $5,000 for the return of his personal property. Defendant Margaret Huff says she treated the plaintiff like her husband until he walked out on her. She's countersuing for $3,125.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The Honorable Judge Jerry Springer now presiding. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Najee.
This is case number 090 on the docket, Simon versus Huff.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge.
Welcome to both of you. I see here we have the plaintiff, Kenneth Simon, and you are suing your ex-roommate, Margaret Huff, for $5,000 for return of property. And Ms. Huff, you are countersuing for $3,125 for slander, emotional distress, and missing rent payments. So, Kenneth, why don't we start with you? What is your case?
Your Honor, I'm here to basically get my stuff back from Mrs. Huff.
Yes.
How we met was I was cutting her hair at the barbershop that I work in. You know, I was living with a girlfriend, you know, slash fiance that passed away.
Oh,
I was kind of distraught from that. She offered that I can come live with her and split the rent 50-50.
Did you guys have a relationship? In other words, he's saying, you know, you were just roommates. Was there a relationship?
Your Honor, we actually, Kenneth and I started becoming intimate in July of 2019.
We had sex. It was sex. That's all we
It was sex.
It was sex.
But no romance.
There was no intimate. We had no relationship. And it came to a point that I was talking to my family members, and she got upset for some reason. So I walked out, and when I walked out, I got upset, so I can calm down. And when I decided to come back in, I wasn't able to come back into the residence.
How much was the rent?
I don't know what the rent was. I just gave her basically like $750 a month.
And you stayed, you said, for how long?
I stayed for about 6 or 7 months.
So you stayed for about half a year, and you got into an argument over something, and you left in a, pardon the pun here, in a huff. And when you wanted to come back to the house, you're saying you couldn't get back in?
Right, I couldn't get back in.
What do you mean you couldn't get back in?
When I tried to come back in to get some items, the top latch was closed on the top. I had the key to the residence, but the top latch was...
Did you ring the doorbell and say, hey, it's me?
No, I knocked on the door, and when the door was slightly open, because it still was ajar, but it couldn't all the way open up.
What did she say when you said open up the door?
She didn't say anything, Your Honor.
So where did you go that night?
I had to go to my family. I had to call my family to come pick me up, which lived like 45 miles away.
Did you communicate with her on the phone? Did you text with her and say, hey, why aren't you letting me in?
I communicated on the phone. I texted her. I called her. The phone went to voicemail. So I tried doing all of that. So my last option was to call my family to come pick me up because I had no place to lay my head. Ever since then, I was staying with them until this present day.
What's the deal? Why wouldn't you let him back in?
Like Mr. Simon said, Your Honor, the day that he came back to the residence, he left on August the 30th. He left out to go to work. He kissed me bye, and he went to work. So immediately when he left, I got in the shower because I had an appointment that I was going to that morning. So Kenneth come back to the door, apparently trying to get in to get some Vaseline or something that he needed. I was in the shower, so I did not hear him knock that morning. So when I did get out, I saw where he had called me, and I told him, I said, I was in the shower, I did not hear you when you called. So he became upset. We had passed text messages back and forth all day that day, and it became pretty heated. So that afternoon, he decided that he was going to go stay with his family. He did not come back home from work that night. He decided he was going to go stay with his family. He sent me a text message stating that he was going to come the next morning with the police and get his things.
Whoa, whoa. What date is this?
August the 30th was the day that he left. August the 31st was the day that he came back to the residence with his sister to pick up his things. When his fiance passed away in March, Kenneth needed a place to stay because his lease was ending where he was. I told him that I had an extra room. He asked me if he could rent that space, and I told him yes, he could.
She did not pass away in March, Your Honor. She passed away late prior that year. I moved in with her the beginning of the year. So that's false.
Kenneth moved in with me at the end of March, around March the 21st or 23rd of 2020.
No, Your
was when
Honor.
Kenneth moved in with me.
No, Your Honor, that's not true.
Kenneth, were you in a relationship with her?
No, we were roommates.
So you
we were friends.
You were roommates, but you weren't like romantically involved.
We were intimate.
Your Honor, I treated this man like a husband. I took him to work. I would get up in the morning.
I didn't treat her like a wife, Your Honor.
Every morning to take him to work,
I didn't treat her
Your
like a
Honor.
wife.
I would pick him up from work in the afternoon. I washed his man's clothes. I cleaned his room.
Yes, she did. She did all of that. I didn't ask her to do none of that.
I treated him like he was my husband.
I was at work from 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock every day. Okay, so I didn't ask her to do that. I didn't make any request for her to do that. She did that on her own.
But he didn't deny the request either, Your Honor. He was happy.
When I
He
get
was happy
home
for me
and
to
it's
do it.
done, I'm gonna say thank you because I'm not gonna be unappreciative. So that's,
Sure.
you know, don't put that on me. The burden's on you. You did that on your own. I ain't asked for none of that. I could have did that myself.
What I see from a distance is you both were and are looking at this in a different way. Margaret, you have seen this more as a relationship. You had more romantic feelings or hopes about him, and he was looking at it as you're his landlord, your roommate, but he was never looking at this as he wanted a relationship. But the lawsuit, I'm not here to be your advisor in terms of what your relationship will turn out to be. When I look at the lawsuit is he's saying, I'm not living there anymore. I want my stuff back. And can I just come by and pick it up? And for the life of me, I'm looking at two adults here. Why can't he just come in without saying, well, I had the latch on? I mean, this is several months later, and in all these months, we can't figure out, you two can't figure out how to get his stuff back?
If you look at Exhibit A, Your Honor, on September the 5th, I sent Kenneth a message and told him that I wanted to schedule a day for him to pick up his things that next week. I told him I didn't want to hold on to them because I didn't need them, and I was trying to move forward with my life. And Exhibit B, on September the 14th, I sent Kenneth another text that said, it's been 6 days since I sent the message to you to come pick up your things, and I have not received a response. Can you please contact me as soon as possible to arrange a time for you to get your belongings?
Did these messages come before the suit was filed?
Yes, Your Honor, they did.
When was the suit filed? What date?
The suit was filed on
let me ask
September
you-
the...
Friday, September 4th.
Margaret, he files the suit on September 4th to get, because he wants his stuff back. And you're saying you want to schedule a day for him to pick things up. Now, what stuff is it that you want to pick up, Kenneth?
All my belongings, my couch, there's a couch in there with
go ahead.
TV, all my clothes, my speaker, my stereo system, my weights, my exercise bike, everything that's in the room that I stay in.
Okay. What did she tell you when you would try to make arrangements to pick up the stuff?
That's what I was trying to get to earlier before you let her go
ahead.
first. Okay. I tried at least
I let
6
it go
times.
second, but go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Better late than never. I tried to get my personal belongings at least 6 times, Your Honor, before I went to the Superior Magistrate Court. That was just the last option. I tried to do it the cordial way, and every time I tried to come get my stuff, she'd say, yes, I can come get it. Then she'll change her mind, Your Honor, and tell me, no, I can't get it.
They came to your place to try to get his stuff, and they were not able to, right?
Right. That's E.
And this, the date of this is August 31st. And the police
that was
report
right
here
before I
says,
went to the magistrate, because the police suggested that I go down to Superior Magistrate Court to file a summons to get my stuff.
okay, I have the official report here. While en route to the apartment to gather his personal belongings, he called Huff to advise her of his decision. He stated that she agreed and would allow him to take all his personal belongings at the time, but when he arrived, she would not answer his phone calls nor answer the door. I knocked on the front door several times, received no answer. He has a key to the apartment, and after unlocking the doorknob lock, the door was locked above with a chain, which prevented Mr. Simon from gaining entry. So there clearly is evidence that he was trying to pick up his stuff. Why not give him his stuff? Why are we in court? Why are we going through all this and this emotional distress that you talk about in your, even in your countersuit? Why is this an issue?
On the said morning of August 31st, what Kenneth is speaking about, he did again text me that night before saying that he was going to come and get his things and bring the police. I told him that that was not necessary, that he bring the police, that he could get his things. Kenneth did not call me prior to showing up that morning. He knows that I had to work. So I was not there when he come that morning. I was at work. So I told him that I needed him to wait until I could get there, and I was on my way. The latch was locked on the door, which has happened before. It happened to me when I first moved into the premises. The latch got locked, and I couldn't get in. So he assumed that I was home at that time, Your Honor, but I was not at home. I was at work. And I did tell him that I was on my way to get there.
What about these? What about these other times? I see here. Okay, hold on. What about these other times? There's this time that it looks like you're pretending to be a paramedic.
No, Your Honor.
There's a call from your phone to him, which I have a copy here, where someone is saying, "Do you know the individual who owns this phone?" That being your phone. We are at the scene of an accident, and this phone is in the car with a lady driving, looks bad. And that person says, the paramedics cannot find ID. If you know her, please let us know. She's an African-American female around 45 to 50 years of age. In other words, whoever this voice is, it's basically pretending to be in an accident. At that same time, he now has a picture here of, at that time, of your car with the license plate at your place. So therefore, that didn't really happen. Then there's a time, and he says, this is her car. It's not wrecked, lying ass goofball. Tell her, lying ass, that I want my stuff from the apartment. Is everyone in your family a bunch of lying ass goofballs? Because someone is texting him, pretending to be your uncle.
May I speak?
What about that?
On that day, I did not have I was not driving my car. I left my car parked at the apartment, and I was on my way from Marietta, like I told Kenneth, trying to get there. When I was trying to get there, I was in a minor accident, and I had to go to the hospital. The person that had my phone, I don't know who had my phone. I saw those texts after the fact. I do know that my uncle tried to reach out to him to make him aware of that, and Kenneth was not, he was not even sympathetic at all that I was in an accident and trying to get there so that he could get his things.
Do you have the hospital report?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't have it.
Okay. And then it says here, he wants his key. Okay, he wants his stuff, and you want your key back. And he says, I'll give you the key when I get my stuff. And you say to him, I'm changing the locks first thing in the morning, so I won't need it anyway. You took advantage of my choice, so you lost a good friend, Toodles. And he says, allow me to get my things or I'll be there with the police. It's not on your terms. And then you say Joseph is going to rent a U-Haul in the morning. Who's Joseph?
Your Honor, that's a guy that I was seeing, that I was engaged to, that we were to be married. But due to all of this back and forth between Kenneth and I, we decided to call it off. I was supposed to be married a couple of weeks ago, but because of all the stuff going back and forth, I wasn't able to, so Joseph and I just decided to end our relationship. And And I also sent Kenneth a letter, a certified letter, saying that he could pick up his personal property. I wasn't trying to keep it from him.
But that came
Matter of
after the
fact, Your
lawsuit.
Honor,
I see that.
But matter of fact, Your Honor, I have some of Kenneth's things here today, and I'm happy for him to have them if he wants them.
All right.
Can I show you these items?
Yeah, what do you have here?
This is just some softener conditioner that he had. Here's a loofah that Kenneth left. And here's a bottle of like pie cologne that Kenneth had as well. And as you can see, Your Honor, I cannot use these items.
Those are the little things. But what about the bike?
Yeah.
And I mean, the items that I saw in these pictures are pretty significant. I mean, they're expensive items. I'm not talking about his toiletries.
And Your Honor, and he's welcome to have those things. He can pick them up today when this proceeding is over. I don't want Kenneth's things, and I've been trying to tell him to come get them. I'm trying to get them out.
This
You
is the
said at one
seventh time.
point-
This is now
Okay,
the seventh
Margaret,
time she's saying it now.
Shh.
This is the seventh
Margaret,
time
you
she's
said
saying
at
it.
one point you put it in storage.
Oh, yeah, Your Honor, I have to say that I was frustrated at that point when I said that. But the things are still sitting in the property in the same room where Kenneth left them.
This is the seventh time she said that I can get my stuff. You know, if I would have gone and go get my stuff, she would have changed her mind and stopped me from getting my stuff again. That's the reason why I kept on,
Okay.
you know, now this is the reason why I'm coming to court, so I can make it official. So if she decides to stop me from getting my stuff, then it can be some circumstances that she had to deal with.
I wanted Kenneth to get his things again because I had someone that wanted to rent that room. And due to Kenneth's things being in that room, I was not able to rent it out. So his things are still there. Had I moved them to storage, I would have been able to rent that space. But I can't because his property is still sitting there because he refuses to come get it.
But you didn't put it in storage, even though you said you were going to put it in storage. So that can't
no,
be
and
an
I
excuse.
admit that I was mad at him that day when I said that, Your Honor. But his property is still there.
All right. But
how am I going to refuse to get it if I'm going to go to the magistrate court?
Now, on your countersuit, I've heard your arguments. On your countersuit, Margaret, you are suing and say that you want to be able to rent the place. You believe he owes past rent, emotional distress. Even though there's obviously a lot of emotional stuff going on here, the legal part of this case is real easy. He's entitled to get his property back, period. That's his stuff. He's entitled to get it. There is really no excuse that he hasn't been able to get it yet, because a lot of these things turn out, frankly, not to be the truth. And so I am now saying, I am ordering that his stuff has to be returned to him, and the countersuit is dismissed.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. I did make multiple attempts for Kenneth to pick up his items. He refused. He always had an excuse why he couldn't come pick them up.
She shouldn't allow her jealousy to hold my stuff hostage the way she did. It shouldn't have took this long. I'm just glad I got my stuff.
Hey, YouTube, thanks for watching. For more Judge Jerry, click here. For more Jerry Springer, click here.